Hungary sits at the heart of Europe, long a member of the European Union, a family of nations sharing rules and trade. But now, Hungary's leaders are looking east toward China and the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. This isn't just a shift in trade partners, it's a potential turning point for Hungary and Europe. Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government has faced criticism for not following EU rules on democracy and law. Instead of changing course, Hungary is forging stronger ties outside the EU, raising concerns among European leaders. Is Hungary leaving its old friends behind, or just seeking new opportunities? The government calls this the Eastern Opening, making deals with China and supporting BRICS. Critics warn Hungary is turning its back on European values of democracy and freedom. The stakes are high. Hungary's choice could reshape its identity and Europe's future. As of September 2025, the questions are urgent. Is Hungary planning to leave the EU or just hedging its bets? This isn't just about politics or money, it's about what it means to be European in a changing world. Hungary's story highlights the tension between global powers and the tough choices smaller nations face. The rest of Europe is watching closely, worried about the ripple effects. Hungary says it's adapting to a world where power is shifting from west to east. The EU, meanwhile, is left wondering if Hungary still belongs in the European family. This is more than a diplomatic spat, it's a test of values, alliances, and national identity. The outcome could set a precedent for other countries facing similar crossroads. Hungary's pivot is a story that matters far beyond its borders. It's a sign of the new global era, where alliances are shifting and old certainties are fading. Let's explore what Hungary's new path means for Europe and the world. To understand Hungary's pivot, we need to look back. After decades under Soviet influence, Hungary joined the EU in 2004, eager to rejoin the West. EU membership brought freedom to travel, work and study, plus billions in development funds. But things changed after Viktor Orban and his Fidesz party took power in 2010. The EU accused Hungary of undermining democracy, controlling media, changing courts, and weakening elections. Tensions grew, dividing Budapest and Brussels. Meanwhile, new powers like China and the BRICS nations were rising. China's Belt and Road Initiative offered investment without political strings. For Orban, facing EU criticism, this was an attractive alternative. Hungary's relationship with the EU soured as it courted new partners in the East. The story is twofold: growing conflict with the EU, and new opportunities from rising Eastern powers. Hungary's shift wasn't sudden, it was years in the making. The world's changing balance of power gave Hungary new options. The EU's pressure pushed Hungary to look elsewhere. Now, Hungary stands at the intersection of old alliances and new ambitions. This context is key to understanding its current path. Hungary's Eastern Opening is more than talk, it's action. Prime Minister Orban has visited Beijing repeatedly. In 2024, China's President Xi visited Budapest. The two leaders announced a strategic partnership, signing nearly 20 deals in technology and infrastructure. The Budapest-Belgrade Railway, funded by a Chinese loan, is a flagship project, part of China's Belt and Road. The government claims it will make Hungary a logistics hub, but critics worry about debt and secrecy. Hungary is also courting the BRICS, seeking to join their new development bank. Chinese tech giant Huawei has a major base in Hungary, even as other EU countries keep their distance. Chinese battery factories are springing up, promising jobs but raising concerns about dependency and the environment. Foreign Minister Szijjártó declared, "The era of Western dominance is over," a clear signal of Hungary's new direction. These moves challenge Hungary's traditional place in Europe. The government says it's about jobs and investment. Critics see growing reliance on China. Hungary's pivot is bold, controversial, and reshaping its economy and alliances. The Eastern Opening is no longer just a policy, it's Hungary's new reality. The rest of Europe is watching, wary of the consequences. Hungary's actions are setting a precedent for others considering a similar path. Why is Hungary turning east? For Orban's government, it's pragmatic. They see the West in decline and Asia, especially China, as the future of growth. Building ties with rising powers is, in their view, smart economics. It's not about abandoning the West but diversifying partners. Sovereignty is another driver. Hungary resents EU interference in its laws and values. China and BRICS offer investment without political lectures. This hands-off approach appeals to Orban, who wants to govern without outside pressure. There's also an ideological divide. Hungary's conservative Christian identity clashes with liberal Western norms. The government feels its values are under attack from Brussels and finds more respect for tradition in the East. Public opinion is split. Urban Hungarians lean west, rural areas support the government's direction. State media promotes the Eastern opening as a path to jobs and prosperity. The government frames its policy as defending Hungary's interests against a hostile EU. For many, that message resonates. The EU is alarmed by Hungary's pivot. For Brussels, Hungary is breaking the club's core rules: democracy, rule of law, human rights. The EU has frozen billions in funding and launched legal action, but unity is elusive. Major EU decisions require consensus, and Hungary uses its veto to block aid to Ukraine and sanctions on Russia. Some EU members want tough punishment, others are cautious, fearing a dangerous precedent. This division weakens the EU's response and gives Hungary leverage. Hungary builds alliances with other skeptical countries, complicating EU politics. The crisis forces the EU to ask, can it force a member to uphold its values? Some talk of changing rules to prevent one country from blocking everything. Others quietly wonder if the EU would be better off without Hungary. Hungary's pivot is more than foreign policy, it's an internal EU crisis. The situation is unprecedented, with only the UK ever having left before. The EU's future cohesion is at stake. Hungary's actions are testing the limits of European unity. Hungary's Eastern strategy is driven by economics. The government touts Chinese investment, battery plants, factories, jobs, as a path to growth. But Hungary's economy is deeply tied to the EU. Over 75% of exports go to EU countries. Losing access to the single market would be disastrous. Billions in EU funds are already frozen, and more could be lost. Chinese-funded projects like the Budapest-Belgrade Railway mean more debt and potential dependency. Critics warn of a debt trap, with China gaining leverage if Hungary can't repay. Social tensions are rising as foreign workers arrive for new factories. Environmental concerns are growing around large industrial projects. The benefits of the Eastern opening aren't shared equally. Some see jobs, others see risks. Hungary's economic gamble could pay off, or backfire badly. The true cost is complex, with winners and losers on both sides. The stakes are high for Hungary's future prosperity and independence. The outcome will shape the country for years to come. Hungary's pivot is a global story. As an EU and NATO member, its embrace of China and Russia is unprecedented. The US worries Hungary could become a Trojan horse for Eastern interests inside Western alliances. Hungary's actions create cracks in Western unity at a tense moment globally. For China and BRICS, Hungary is a success, proof their influence is growing inside Europe. Hungary offers them a foothold in the EU and a voice in European debates. Other small nations are watching. Can Hungary balance East and West, or will it end up isolated? If Hungary succeeds, others may follow. If it fails, it's a warning. Hungary's experiment is a test case for the new era of great power competition. The world is watching to see if a small country can play both sides. The outcome will shape global strategies for years to come. Hungary's choice is a signal of shifting alliances worldwide. We asked Dr. Elena Popescu, a Central Europe expert, for her take. She calls Hungary's strategy a high-stakes gamble. Orban wants to benefit from both East and West, but both sides are demanding loyalty. The US and EU see Hungary's ties with China and Russia as a threat and may force a choice. China, meanwhile, expects political loyalty in exchange for support. Hungary risks ending up isolated, trusted by no one. The policy is also fragile, dependent on Orban's leadership. A new government could reverse course, creating instability. Deepening ties with authoritarian states could erode Hungary's democracy. Dr. Popescu warns that in a crisis, Hungary may have to pick a side. For now, Hungary will keep balancing, clashing with Brussels and courting Beijing. The EU is unlikely to expel Hungary, but will keep up pressure and isolation. The real test will come in a global crisis, when neutrality is no longer an option. Hungary's moment of truth is coming. Its choice will have consequences for all of Europe. Hungary's story is about more than one country. It's about the future of global alliances. Hungary is betting on Eastern investment and sovereignty, but risks EU isolation and debt. The EU is divided, unsure how to respond to a member defying its values. Hungary's gamble is a test case for small nations in a world of shifting power. Can a country balance East and West, or must it choose? The answer will shape not just Hungary's future, but Europe's and the world's. Hungary stands at a crossroads, its decision a defining challenge for the era. The world is watching, and the outcome will send a message far beyond Budapest. What do you think? Can a nation truly have the best of both worlds? Join the conversation. Hungary's choice is a story for us all.